Malaysia was in and out of MCO since last March due to the COVID-19, and almost all manufacturers were closed. How is Malaysia's economy affected by the pandemic?
Let me just cover the shipment first. Electronics industry have shipped 28% more for first half of the year over first half of last year. So year on year, we have grown 28%. However, that is still not enough to support the demand. Okay, our issue is the ability to control the factory and the country from the increasing cases. So where companies who are suspected or who have positive cases, then they have to shut down. Every of that shutdown or closure for a few days, even for a few days, affects the supply chain. And I know that in June, there were a little bit of confusion because there are a lot of changes in standard operating procedure and some of them were not clear. And we have been pushing the government to allow the factories to run. And now the government have agreed that if you have 80% of employees fully vaccinated, then you can allow 100%. But before that, they were not willing. So during that time, there were a little bit of concern. The government was not helping in the global supply chain and it's causing disruption. But now, since they have agreed, I think things are opening up. So the concern during that time, some companies have diverted some of the volume out of Malaysia to countries like maybe China or Vietnam or Philippines. But when problems happen over there, they also divert it back. So we have the whole global issue.
How do semiconductor companies plan to operate under the shadow of COVID-19?
The COVID-19 pandemic has really affected the whole world, including Malaysia. And the government have been striving very hard, try to control the spread of COVID-19. And it is not an easy problem. It's very difficult. You have to balance between lives and livelihood. And so in the beginning, the factories were shut down and then slowly open up. We have been on shutdown, open up, the cycle a few rounds already. And as a result, the factories are not consistently operating all the time. We, as in the organization, help our companies to establish on-site PPV. So we appeal to the government to allow companies to set up on-site vaccination centers so that workers can be vaccinated on-site. So we have managed to get vaccination centers set up in many factories all the way from the north to the south of the country. And so today we have many companies that have vaccination is already done. Some have already completed 2 doses, 80%, which means they can operate 100% of the capacity. Some not yet, but most of them by this month or another 2 weeks, they will be fully vaccinated and therefore can run at 100%. So hopefully in the next few months, you see the supply from these factories growing. As I said, the factories has always been following the SOPs, we call it standard operating procedure for COVID control, which is washing hands, wearing masks, distancing. They have done all of that in the factory. So they just need to ensure that their workers follow. The only issue here is that the workers go home and sometimes they go out. And if they go to a hot area, so to speak, then they become a suspect. Now, it is the challenge of the company to identify such people so that they don't go into the factory. For now, they're also doing testing of the workers every 2 weeks to weed out people who may have positive cases without knowing. That increases the cost of doing manufacturing. Actually, the cost of manufacturing has gone up, not just testing, cleaning. There are so many procedures that to follow. That's reality.